Oh no. All right. Hello, Reynold.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. I accidentally muted myself when I burped earlier. Let myself muted.
You just kind of went quiet, and I figured you were working on something.
That's it. That was a dumb move of my fault. So yeah. Hey, I didn't burp on the mic. That's all that matters. All right. So welcome to Low Key Wolves. This would be number 06. Did you guys notice the taxation FF Chris Spangle still in the corner? It will be removed after this weekend, but I have decided to leave it there for a while because, one, I don't know if I'm going to stay on Stream Elements if I'm not going to switch over to Stream Labs, and I don't want to do all that work from taking it down and putting something up there and getting in its spot and end up switching everything everywhere and have to do double work. Not going to do that, so it stays. So and something else will be in replace, but it's going to be in replace as something really, really cool. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to try to get Spangle to approve it first, see if he likes it, see if it goes with everything with him, and if that's okay, then boom, I'll get this really cool graphic here on the side, which I think is going to be really, really cool and gamify a lot of cool things for everybody else here. Joining with me, of course, my all-time co-host with for Low Key WAL. I think you've been on the most Low Key WAL, as in all of them. Is is Rhino.
I missed one.
Yeah, you did. Oh yeah, you missed one, didn't you?
I
Yeah.
didn't. I missed the second one because you guys decided to do it as a regular thing,
Yeah.
and I was busy that night when you guys did it, so I wasn't able to attend.
Well, yeah, yeah. Yeah, which and also the other co-host is others. The show is you guys sitting in the Discord in Discord or coming into the Twitch chat. Yeah, we got Wicked Kinder. Thanks, Wicked Kinder. Welcome up. We also got 2 follows since the last time we decided. Since the last air, we've got we picked up the follower Sarah Barbera. I'm sure that's how that's pronounced. And we picked up Boss Fisher. Okay, yeah. The scholar is supposed to be here to pronounce words for me, and he's not. So I will be here for the next 90 minutes to mispronounce words and butcher everyone's name. So, a couple of things I wanted to talk about tonight. I did miss a couple of things in January that I wanted to bring up. I never get to talk about it on Wall because I'm sure Spangle cares, I'm sure everyone else cares. There's just always so this much stuff going on in January or other around that time. It's really kind of hard to talk about this subject. And the subject I really wanted to bring up and talk about is something that is very... I always get concerned when I hear about things about people who grew up with the internet. The people who basically have... This is what, the internet has always been part of their life. They're IT kids are around my age, and they've done beautiful, amazing things with their life. And when the government gets involved in their life, and they end up taking a long term, and the government ends up trying to make an example of them, I always like to give a huge spotlight on them because that could have been most anyone who any IT person that listens to Wall, any programmer that listens to Wall, or just anybody basically they're going after somebody. And the person I am going to spotlight today is Aaron Swartz. A lot of people who have never heard this man's name since Tuesday night when I said it on Wall, or they've maybe heard a blip around the time because a lot of things happened around when his case was going through. So a lot of people are kind of they've got some misconceptions. What's going on with this guy? Because he got lumped in with a lot of different bad actors around the same time while his trial was going on. But let me back up the train. Aaron Swartz is an American citizen. He is a brilliant young kid. I mean, he started programming at a young age. He helped get the RSS. He was uploading with the RSS feed, the same RSS feed that everyone uses to get updates on their their podcasts. They get updates for different email lists or just blips from every different website. That piece of technology, Aaron Swartz helped make the plumbing work for that technology. And the adults never knew that they were messing with a 14-year-old kid I think it was 14. He's probably younger, but I'm going to say 14 because it's the first age I went with. They didn't know they were working with basically a 14-year-old kid that's getting on the message group, that's getting there, submitting code. They're sending him code to work on because he would never code to their meat space like their meat space meetings, and when they kept pushing him to find out why, they found out that the kid, he was just a little kid. But they didn't treat him like a little kid, which goes to show, like, a lot of the different times, a lot of people you see around that age, a lot of people like to treat them like they're kids, but they're actually very brilliant. And that's the way Aaron Swartz was. He's that brilliant kid in the computer, in your classroom that basically, Reinhold TV, we got a host. All the view, thanks, Reinhold, I appreciate it. Where was I? So he worked on that as a kid, going through high school. He picked up. He started to we worked on before he got to, hey Christy, when we started to get older, he started working on Creative Commons license. Creative Commons, I'm sure everyone who's done a podcast, a blog post, understands the complexities of dealing with the crappy, antiquated copyright system in the United States. Hey, Ikasako and Farkas Nugan and Danger317, what's up? Hey, everybody in the chat. So you've got this kid, it's basically this 14, 15-year-old kid crafting the laws and the rules for the Creative Commons license. So he's basically captivated like a whole room. This little kid is doing this. So this is Aaron Swartz we're talking about here. And so, not only did he help the RSS feed, help the plumbing for the RSS feed, he started working on the Creative Commons license. So, this kid's got a bright future ahead. Gets on, goes to school, ends up going to Stanford, goes to Stanford. While in Stanford, he's back. He's in like a traditional like school environment. He didn't like it because his main thing that he wanted to do, he wanted to create. He wanted to help people, not sit around in the classroom, learn a bunch of things, and possibly get out and make a massive six-figure salary. That's not his idea. He wanted to teach, learn, use software to help people. While in college, he got put into this program. I want to say it's the Y Incubator, if I remember correctly. The incubation project inside of Stanford, and that's basically like which they put a lot of programmers and IT people and engineers and software developers together, gave them a little bit of like startup cash and stuff like that to let them just be themselves, create. So Aaron just started working on this site to help make it easier for other people to start. He does sound like Sarkanisan said, this sounds like a superhero origin story, and it is. He is superhuman. Well, while in college, so we started this project to make it easier for everyone else to make a website. So it's like easy. Easy to use the code for it, so everyone can sit there and get their freaking get their code on and make their own website. That project didn't go anywhere, didn't fail. But while in his apartment in this Y Incubator project, there was another project was going on that that needed help, that was not going anywhere, and that was Reddit. Yes, he walked over to the couch, and other people were working on it, and he helped get the code going for Reddit. And thanks to Aaron, Reddit is what it is today. Got it. Of course, some people have gone in and broke this beautiful system that Aaron made. But hey, it is what it is. So that voting up and down syndrome it's freaking Reddit. So he does that. The company comes in. He sells all this. They sell Reddit. Move out to California. He gets out there, understands, doesn't like the. He gets into Silicon Valley and realizes this world is meant. They're not really out there to helping people. This world is just here to make money. Which there's nothing wrong with making money, but that's, like I said, back to his same origin. This is not what he wanted to do with the skills that he's picked up. He wants to help people. So he ends up. He gets fired from Reddit. The company walked over there. It wasn't a pretty breakup. Apparently, it was awful. A lot of the people around that time still don't even talk about it. So it's all shrouded in mystery, that breakup story. But after he gets out of there, so he's got FU money at this point. Okay, so he can just he can do what he wants. He's got a huge programming background. He's got connections, so he starts making more connections. He gets into the the political space. Like I said, he wants to help people. Unfortunately, he's on the left, so he goes out there and he does a lot of different motivations. He's one of the people who helped out get Elizabeth Warren elected. I know. Come on, all right. It's politicology aside. when Elizabeth Warren first started out, just like Obama, like wanted to help people. But anyways, that's here on there. Fast forward, he didn't know any of that. Um, yes, Wicked Kendra said I both love and hate Reddit at the same time. I think everybody has a love-hate relationship with Reddit, and most people hate Facebook but end up having to use it. But Aaron also at the same time, also he starts working on different projects to basically what he was discovering and figuring out and finding out that a lot of different items and stuff like that that are like freedom information request or working inside the was it the pacer system. The pacer system was basically the all your law documents from case files. They're free access. You can go get them, but you have to get them throughout the old pacer system. And the pacer system was a lot of this stuff was getting digitized and get online, but they made you pay for it, which is understandable because someone has to sit there, scan it in the computer, and get it to you. But the pacer system wasn't. They were charging more than what they were using to get to like the project off the. They were basically using it as a money making scheme because people needed these law documents. Pacer was charging extra for it, and making it was basically turning itself into $1 million industry of taking free information that the government had and basically selling it back to the people who paid for the documents in the first place. Awful injustice. Well, at certain conferences, that's how, and certain political conferences, Aaron fell into this program and helped write code to basically start going in and going through the pacer system and to get a file, pull a file, get a file, pull a file. Basically, just get going through so basically just using just basic shell script, circumventing their system. Because what Pacer did was they started to make it that you can go to any public library and you can pull out so many files a day, which sounds tedious, but there's hundreds of public libraries. Not everyone freaking does this, so what he did was write a shell script so it was all automatic. It would just go out there and just keep pulling documents, and it pulled up a lot faster than the Pacer organization wanted it to do. So they basically shut it down, and then they this first breath of the federal government sent the FBI after Aaron to go and basically investigate and find out what the heck is going on. They didn't really press charges. They closed the books on it, but they were basically like, this was his first brush of like the federal government. It was like, hey, you can't do this. But he got that taste of understanding that the United States government or governments in general, they were basically holding back free information from being out to the world, but to just like in the quote unquote hackers manifesto, knowledge needs to be free. Things need to be free out there. So fast forward, I think about 2 years after that incident, he got introduced while he was at MIT, which MIT is a difference. All right, so with MIT, I'm going to because most people don't know this, is MIT is also famous for their open networks, open everything, which a lot of people like complain that their education isn't free, college isn't free. MIT is free and open of everything. You just have to pay to go to MIT to get their piece of paper, the certificate. But if you want to take MIT courses, you want to get on the MIT network and look at other resources, all you have to do really just go into MIT. Their networks is fully open. It's one of the great places to go to like just get access to the net if you're in the area. The only issue is they register things that go to it. And one thing that Aaron noticed was that inside these documents at each college is that they scientific journals. These are journals basically like the wealth of human knowledge. Basically it's human knowledge for about the past. What is it 500 years? From the Renaissance of these scientific journals people have taken, carefully scanned out, put on the computer, and they have basically locked them away. And these different companies own them, and they charge people for access to it. Colleges, organizations get free access to it. Well, they're not okay. College students get free access to it. Colleges pay a licensing fee to view these documents. Now, you're able to go inside there as a college student, get inside there and pull off any journal that you need for your college courses. But what Aaron, myself, and a lot of different people see this as just basically a locked up version of the whole, the a locked up version of the whole scientific community. Everything's being held back because of this awful copyright holding back all this freaking scientific knowledge behind this basic paywall. But if you were, if you walked in the MIT conference, you have free freaking access to it. So what Aaron did was wrote a script, very simple JavaScript, or maybe it was, no, I think it was Python. This one was Python. And what it'll do is get on the JSTOR, pull a document, and boom, download it back again. Just the same way you did with the Pacer stuff. And with JSTOR, since it was, it's from a company, it's very well database, he just went there and pulled. So it would just sit there and pull, and it would just kept pulling documents. He pulled millions and millions of documents. They would turn off his IP address to that laptop. He'd get it up, he'd register a new one, and the program would start back up. JSTOR eventually just cut off the entire MIT campus trying to figure out who this person is that keeps pulling. That doesn't last long, especially if you're pulling licenses. So they eventually had to turn the network on, and they kept searching it. So what Aaron did was he found a unsecured networking closet at MIT, which blows my mind that is an unsecured networking closet in a basement of a building. Hooked the laptop up right to Ethernet, right to the network, so bypassing a lot of different features that they can turn off, and then set a laptop there with the same sales script with an external hard drive and let this thing download. After a while, someone would just download. Eventually, someone did find this laptop and find out what it was. So what the campus decided to do, instead of just unplugging and just waiting for someone to show back up and just like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And just basically try to keep it all in-house, what they did was they decided to put a camera there and videotape, basically build a case and find out who's doing this. It took them a while to come up there. They actually found out why the door keeps unlocking is because apparently a janitor was using it to store garbage. I know, right? Quentin Kennedy said #1 rule of security is physical security. Yeah, this is why a lot of different hacks, if it requires physical security, man, you're mostly pwned anyways if someone got physical, access to your servers. Oof. Mainly sip. I just realized I've been ranting for the last 10 minutes. Sorry about that. Hope I'm not going too fast. I'm just trying to condense a whole bunch of data into a short bit. I apologize if I'm going too fast. But anyways, so they get that, they boot the case, and they get on the camera, they watch him basically switch to the drive. So they know, this is Aaron Schwartz. They let him leave. When they get him out, they basically sick the Cambridge police department on him. So he's a small, if you could see him in the picture, he's not a very big guy. This is him in 2002, so he had to been that's 16. That's him 16 in this picture, and this is him in 2008, which basically was 23. So he was a very, very small guy. He wasn't big. So the campus police tackled him and brought him down to the ground, basically like they do to most who they see as criminals. They did take him, they strip searched him and put him in the prison cell. And they were getting ready to press charges on him. He faced, he released on $100,000 worth of bail, and they began to start building the case on him. For the company, MIT JSTOR basically started to back down off of going after Aaron for this whole thing, but the federal government didn't. At this same time, while this was all going around in 2012, 2013, on this same time, another hacker organization was going on at the same time. This was the same time that Occupy Wall Street and LulzSec got busted. Okay, so the news was, and so you got LulzSec, Occupy Wall Street, Chelsea Manning was going on, WikiLeaks was going on, was huge at this time. So the federal government wanted blood. They wanted to take down somebody wanted to make a name for themselves and take down a hacker, which he is. You know what? Aaron's a hero. He is a hacker. He doesn't get the quotes. He is a hacker. Okay. They wanted to take him down. They wanted to set an example of him for what he did to basically trying to bypass the system and pull it. One from the Pacer system, pulling out documents, and they were decided to try to do this to Aaron because the only law he really broke was if they kind of like went for the idea that he was going to redistribute these things for free for publication, which they've kind of got a sense of him doing it once before. But the other time that he did do it, he also pulled what is it what's the word I'm looking for? He also did to the law library to find out that somebody was using it to. They were basically using. Aaron pulled a bunch of documents from a law library one time out in California, because he was realizing they were using analytics on it to find out that a company was using the basically law library to pay different lawyers to do research against different not climate change, which was it? It was like different. It was basically like they were using. It was like a pay scheme to go after different like industries that the company wanted. They were basically paying for it for all the research going on. But the main thing that what they were worried about that did sink him, they got this from his girlfriend, which actually got slipped out, was this document right here, the Guerrilla Open Access Manifesto. Information is power, but like all power, there are those who want to keep it for themselves. The world's entire scientific and cultural heritage, published over centuries in books and journals, is increasingly being digitized and locked up by a handful of private corporations. Want to read the papers featuring the most famous results of the sciences? You'll need to send enormous amount to publishers like Reed Elsevier. There are those struggling to change this. The open access movement has fought violently to ensure the scientists do not sign their copyrights away, but instead ensure their work is published on the internet under terms that allow anyone to access it. But even under the best scenarios, the work will only apply to things published in the future. Everything up until now has been lost. This is a really cool thing. Like, I'm gonna post this thing in the chat here. If you want to take yourself out and go open another tab and go read that. Because what they found out, because basically, like, when a scientist does a study, when they get done doing the study, they have to sign. They basically sign their rights over to the publishing company, and it goes off of there to even get it published or get anyone looked at. And it's the system that a lot of scientific journals have been published under. They don't get published under like different copyrights. So when it's another reason why it's so hard to debate anything with science in it, because most of the journals for all this stuff is all locked away behind those publishing and these massive paywalls. I'm sure that especially like people like me who'd like to debate race realists or anything using like any type of science, it's kind of hard to find a journal to cite because it's locked away. So you'll need someone who's an academic that has access to these journals, so you'd be able to like, here, look, if you look at this journal right here, it says it right here. Different studies and stuff like that. All right, so Aaron. So after all that, they bring this case and they are going after Aaron. So he's faced with about 30 years. The federal government wants to make him an example, like I said, and the news is bringing him as one of the awful crackers of LawSec. They want to bring him down. They want to bring someone down. They want to basically hold someone up on an example, because look at him. He's like, this is what the evil hackers look like, and he's not. He's a hero. He's a hero hacker. Well, faced by all this, Aaron did commit suicide. He did it in January 11th, 2013. It was a very sad day. If you want to hear more about this, like the documentary, The Internet's Own Boy, it's a very good documentary on Aaron Swartz. There's a whole different, all kinds of different documentaries on Aaron, because he touched a lot of different parts of the internet, and most people who use the internet to its full abilities have used used software that he has worked on, or just used things, or have worked with people that he has worked with because of his because of everything that he has touched. So yeah, and I like to bring up Aaron Swartz because a lot of people use this tech, use the things around it, but they don't understand who this kid is and what he was trying to do and why he committed suicide. You want to say something, Randall? I'm sorry.
A few things, but the first one was there's another documentary called Kill Switch, which is a pretty good documentary you want to check out too.
Yeah, Kill Switch is a good one too.
So there's a few things I have about this. One is, unfortunately, he probably would never have gotten caught with the JSTOR thing, if he had not written the script in a way that it was creating a new session for every pull, right? Now, doing that was much more efficient.
Correct.
But by doing that, he slammed the network and was very quickly identified. If he had just done it with single sessions, nobody would have identified that anything was going on, because it would have looked like people were just pulling one document at a time, as it were. So he was trying to mass pull to make it faster, and that's what got him caught.
Because with that guerrilla manifesto, a lot of other people who were doing the exact same Aaron was doing, but wasn't caught because they were pulling single file slowly at a time on USB drives, not like the mass like he was doing.
Right. So that's one thing. The other thing too is I'm not sure. I don't know if we ever really understood why he committed suicide.
Well,
so as I understand it. He was in negotiations. Now he was being overzealously charged. A lot of people were saying this at the time, including John Dean, if you know who John Dean is, former Nixon White House counsel, who knows a little thing or two about,
overcharging,
getting charged and overcharging and all that stuff. So, so they were obviously trying to get something done, right? So. And it was Carmen Ortiz, I guess, is the former U.S. attorney from Massachusetts, who brought the indictment. So they were having a negotiation going on for a plea deal, so that they could just keep this out of court and get this taken care of. He was offered 6 months jail.
6 months in jail and 2 years no touching a electronic device.
Right. Which. He counter offered, and we have no knowledge of what the counter offer was, but the counter offer was rejected, and then that's when he committed suicide. I have a hard time believing that he committed suicide because of 6 months of jail and 2 years of no computers. Right. That seems like an overreaction.
Correct. Does seem like a little bit of a overreaction.
I think there was other things going on in his life. There was something else, but there has to be something else there. Another bit of the story there that we just don't know. We probably never will know.
Correct. Yeah. There's several different layers to it. Like, he wasn't at the time. I wasn't with his girlfriend. He wasn't having the best relationship with her at the time. He also kind of felt like a little betrayed by her a little bit. Because she did want to go talk to them without him and or his lawyers present.
Right.
So he kind of felt, but at that time, so you're feeling like the world is coming at you from all sides, and the simple fact that he always felt that with that felony charge on him and hanging over him, that he wouldn't be able to he had goals and aspirations, and he felt like if he had this felony charge, there's no way he could make it to work inside the White House or really help people because he had this felony charge hanging over him. So in his head,
right? But he knows Kevin Mitnick. I mean, Kevin Mitnick has gone through a lot worse than that.
Correct. Yeah.
Came out the other side, and he's doing fine. Well for himself. Is able to, he's starting his own firms. He's doing his thing. So I don't know. It just seemed like there had to be now. There is something with a mindset like he has, is that he's probably on a spectrum maybe, or something, that emotional things probably hit him harder. Things there's things there that are probably very related to what happened and what pushed him to that point. But I really would like to know. And like I said, we'll never know, because he didn't leave in suicide note. He didn't tell anybody why he was doing this. So,
right,
it's just kind of frustrating.
Which, the weird thing about the whole suicide note thing, there's tons of different conspiracy theories out about it. There's something else that he discovered or found out, and he got suicided. I don't
think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
right? I don't think so either. But I'm just saying they're
because they would have they would have left a note. I mean, if you're going to suicide somebody, you make it. You don't leave holes.
Right.
Right. So I don't buy it. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that while I kind of agree with some of the things he did, I also am kind of against some of the things he did.
Okay.
So when you're doing research and you're selling the research papers for that, that money is there to incentivize people to do that. So the research has to get paid somehow. Right.
Yes.
So people aren't just giving the money out and then going to give it out for free on the research. So so it's usually colleges or research firms or something like that is paying the money for this research with the idea that they're going to make maybe not make a lot of money, a lot of profit off of it, but at least enough to pay back the money they put into the research. So by charging for those research papers, that's part of the way they make that money back to encourage further research going on. If those are being taken and not compensated for, research will stop because nobody will have the money or have the incentive to do it anymore, right? If they may want to do it, but they're not going to be able to financially make it happen unless they're getting endowments, unless they're getting people just handing them money for out of the goodness of the heart for that research. So then you're going to start getting only research done on things where people with money want to find out the answers to, not just not research that would benefit everybody.
Right. Yeah. Like, so if I wanted to have a just research, like basically if research for climate change, which would come out, so the only people who would have research for climate change would be big oil, would have the cash to go like, hey, yeah, we're gonna British Petroleum, we're gonna fund this research study on climate change, instead of just having an independent someone out there. That's
or the
I know, yeah, or
so you've got you've got the government doing it, and you've got the petroleum side doing it. You don't have really a lot of third parties doing that,
right?
That are kind of independent, which is what we really need, because a lot of that research right now is suspect on both sides. So it's kind of hard to really get a lot of good information out of the whole thing. So his mindset was that all information should be free, and I just have a little bit of a problem with that, because we still have private property rights and intellectual property rights and things like that. If I write a book, and I make it available, and I'm hoping to get paid for that time that I put into writing that book, if people enjoyed it, if somebody just comes along and takes it and then redistributes it for free, they can even say that they wrote it. I'm up a creek right there. So that mindset of free information is good to a point. You can't take it to the complete full extreme on it, which is where his kind of thought process was.
Yeah, he mostly saw everything. This is what I've just got from docs and reading and hearing interviews from people, is seeing everything basically as a public library, the same way as like that.
His mindset was socialization of information. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, snaps. I just got some... Thanks for the bits, Christy. Woo! Christy just dropped 127 bits. I get you a new badge. That's a 100-bit badge. Nice. Thank you, Christy. Yeah, that freedom of knowledge is out there, because, like I said, going back to the Guerrilla Manifesto, it basically talks about, like, well, to them, knowledge is power. Knowledge should be redistributed to everybody out there. And it should be...
People should have the power, right?
Yeah, and they also talk about allowing a friend to make a copy. So like almost like everyone should be able to see it, but what's the law regarding of having someone like
there's got to be some balance there. There's got to be some, and the laws right now are horrible.
Oh,
let's not mistake that. I'm not anyway saying that he didn't have a point to make, and especially with the PACER system, what he did with the PACER system was good. And now with the PACER system, there was a gentleman who recognized this issue and put a call out for people to do what they could. So when PACER was they were putting a trial system in there where you could go in and pull the information for free while they were beta testing it, basically.
Yeah.
That's when he went in and got that information. And so he did so completely legally for what he was doing, but it really kind of honked off the PACER people. But the idea was that they were saying that they needed to charge that in order to maintain the services and the electronics and the writing and all that stuff for it. They had $150 million sitting in the bank.
Right, yeah.
From that system, from the money they were making off of that. So that's a little excessive, right? So I can see them saying, hey, this is too much. This is free information. This is money. This is information that the people of the United States have already paid for, right? So if they want to put a system in place, then if you've got tax money paying for that, then that should be paying for the access too.
Correct. Yeah.
So it shouldn't be charging people, because the people who needed that information, they shouldn't have to pay for that. So that was completely 100%. I'm behind him on that one. The JSTOR one, that gets a little trickier for me because of the fact that it wasn't public information as far as the public paid for it. It was, research firms that paid for this stuff, and they were trying to get the money back on that so they can continue to research. So, that's a gray area.
Yeah, because
but he had it. But that's the thing, is he was passionate.
Mm-hmm.
He believed in something. He went out and tried to make it happen, even at the detriment of what happened to him as a result of it. Right. So he was willing to do that. I think he should have went through the process, got his, paid his time, and used it as a badge of honor, instead of seeing it as the world caving in on him and then, feeling the need to take his life. That was the sad part, that he got to that point and nobody recognized it and was able to help him.
Yeah. After that thing with JSTOR did, they stood down. They decided they did not want to press charges.
The problem was when the government got involved, right? So
correct. Yeah,
that happened.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you're right. It is private property rights, and it's just more of our antiquated copyright system, which I understand, people wanting to copyright things gets involved. That's why Creative Commons and stuff like those licenses are pretty neat, and which our copyright system that most people use is antiquated, it's crap, and it barely works here inside the digital space, inside the digital realm.
Well, the digital Millennium Copyright Act is horrible. Right?
Yes.
So there's a well-known thing that we've always believed in, is called fair use.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, back in the days, and I'm going to go in my old,
Oh, hold on.
Back in my day,
let me start my old timey music. I got
get going.
I got my old timey music.
But we used to make cassettes
Mm-hmm.
of albums, right? We used to videotape TV shows. There was concerns back then that you're going to record your album on a cassette, then you could pass it off to someone else and they'd have a copy. They wouldn't have to go buy it. That was a violation of the right. So there was a thing called fair use, where you had the right to make a copy of anything you bought. It was yours. You had the right to make a copy of it. You didn't have the right to sell it or to be giving it out all the time. So as an agreement with the companies that made the music and made the TV shows, they baked into the cost of blank album, blank cassettes, blank videotapes, and blank CDs, that part of the cost of that would go to the media companies, with the understanding that it was probably going to get copied in a legal way of some sort. So this kind of made up for it, right? So that's the process. That's why when we used to have CDs, there were music CDs and then there were just blank CDs. The music CDs were more expensive. There was no functional difference between the two. But because one was labeled a music CD and one was labeled just a blank CD, the music CDs had to give the money to the music companies because they were understood that they were going to be used for music or whatever. It was a stupid thing. It's still a stupid thing, the fact that they actually have violated the idea of fair use when we started digitizing music, because now they had no way to say they could just stick money onto it in order to get the money back. So they started hammering down, and that's when the whole Napster thing happened, and that's when old grandmothers are being arrested and put in, getting fined for millions of dollars because they happen to have some files on a Napster share they didn't know about on their computer, right. And they were actually accidentally sharing that information. They didn't know it. So it's a horrible thing that needs to be addressed, and nobody's addressing it well. Nobody's addressing it at right now at all. It doesn't seem like anybody's really trying to do anything about it, because everybody's trying to find their own way to do this. So you got paywalls for newspapers. Newspapers are kind of going out of business because nobody's reading print anymore. So they're trying to make their money that they used to make on ads, which when Craigslist tried to sell services to the newspapers, they told him to get bent, and then so Craigslist started taking all that away from the newspapers because nobody was going to get the newspaper ads anymore. They were giving because that's how the newspapers used to make money, was selling the ad space in the back of the newspaper, right?
Right.
Well, now you have Craigslist where you can go and sell stuff and have those ads in there for those little minor things. And now the newspapers weren't making that money, and it was a misstep on their part.
Right.
So now they're trying to figure out a way to monetize the work that they do. And I think it's part of the reason why we're not getting really good journalism, is because the newspaper people they don't have the money and the resources they used to have people just do investigative reporting and do all the work there. So they're trying to cut corners as much as they can, right? So it's all a big mess, and it's all because nobody's got a good handle on copyright technology and what we're going to do for it going into the digital age. We're just completely flat-footed. We missed the boat, and now we're trying, it's not being handled properly yet.
The old guard is scrambling to catch up, and a lot of the new media is they are finding ways. They're getting advertised, and they're doing different investigative journalism on themselves. Like here in Indiana, we've got Abdul, IndyPolitics.org, who, as he goes out there, he hits the beat, and he gets that paid off for people going after paying for his cheat sheet or getting ads on his own personal site.
Yeah, people are having to kind of come up with their own ways now, and some people are succeeding, some people are failing. Just regular TV is just still scrambling, trying to find ways to afford making the shows that we all love to watch, right? So, and how are they going to distribute it? Where are the deals coming in? It's all still a big mess, and people are trying to work through it and work it out and find ways to make it happen, but nobody's come up with the golden egg yet. I don't think.
Well, the thing is, like, people will take the money. Like they have found out, like, the internet has shown that if you make it easy for people to give you money for your product, people will do that. When it came to pirated video games, there's several different publishers that just, like, you know what, here's our download link. Like, they would just give the game out, and it's like, so what? You pirated, but we're going to need money for that, and they end up getting paid for it. When you, like, Netflix, they showed everyone, like, hey, people want to view their media this way. If you allow them to pay for it, they'll stop bootlegging. Well, a lot of people stop bootlegging, things like that. And you saw, people would rather pay for Netflix and try to get on some other, like, Napster site, the same way they do with anime. A lot of anime users, they will because they want new content coming out of Japan, and if they have to bootleg to get it, they'll bootleg to get it. But if they can just go into a Crunchyroll and get it that way, they will do it.
Right. It's you make it easy and financially affordable or realistic, right? So we used to pay $10 for an album, and now it's like, okay, now let's drop the price a little bit. Let's make it easy, because we're not actually making physical discs anymore. Why we shouldn't have to charge as much for it, right? So people were complaining about that when they first started selling albums online and digital. They were charging the same amount as they were for actual physical media. It's like, you don't know, you're that's wrong. People see that. And they're going to get mad, and they're going to get the thing. You make it affordable, or you make the deal that a lot of people are doing now, where you have the Spotify's and that used to be Groove and some other things, where you pay a monthly fee and you can have access to the whole catalog. That's a great solution. They finally found a way that made sense, that was affordable, that everybody could get into.
Right. Yeah. Or
everybody can afford $10 a month, and they can hear all the music they want to hear, the new stuff, the old stuff, everything, and it's a good solution.
And the people who aren't comfortable, they're willing to take and defeat in themselves in some ads. And
remember, the music industry fought that for so long, and they finally just said, "Hey, we need to find a way," and they finally came up with a good solution, and we just need everybody else to kind of figure it out.
They didn't come up with that solution. The market came with that solution. They just kind of adapted, because they were losing money, because a lot of artists was bypassing the record labels by, like, nope, you can go to our website, you can download it off our site here. Here's our pay link here. Well,
that's the thing, is most artists never made no money off the record sales. They were getting money off the tour money. the tickets for the tours, the tickets for the T-shirts and stuff like that. And they realized that if they gave the music out for free and people liked it enough, they'd want to go see them, right? So you make it as available as possible so that everybody could hear it, and you get more fans that way. You get more people going to your show. That's when you make the money. And the music industry is like, oh, we're screwed here because we're not being able to, you know, we're going to be pushed out of the whole process here. So they had to come up with something, or agree to something that was going to keep them afloat.
Yeah, and artists like that because they have to go make like a bunch of crap songs just to fill out an album. All right, a couple of things we want to do. Like, if you guys heard my phone go off, that is because we just got our premium emote on the. So if you're like the $10 a month subscriber on the We Are Libertarians Twitch page, you're able to use the premium emote. The other emote for some reason still hasn't been approved yet, but they approved the $10 one. I don't understand it. I don't get it myself, but it's there. The other thing is, Farkas Nukin asked, do you think 3D printing will bring copyright issues to the forefront? Well, I think it's already kind of there. A lot of people, companies like to bring it, especially when they see you. Like, I think a lot of companies that did the Apple approach when it came to Hackintoshes, that as long as you're just 3D printing things for your personal self, as right now, as long as you're not trying to sell it or do stuff with it, they're kind of, they're offhand off it. Only time I really see them go out if you try to make money off it, then they will come down on everybody to enforce their copyright. That's the only thing I've seen for 3D printing. Will it bring that conversation back up? Hopefully it will, because a lot of old
conversation needs to be had.
Yeah, conversation needs to be had anyways, yeah, and because there's a lot of different things out there that is ridiculous that you can't touch anymore, or things that are just locked behind copyright laws. Did you want to...
Well, you have the problem now too with last Christmas time. So there was this every year there's a special Christmas toy that everybody tries to get, like the old Furby and the things like that. So apparently this year there was one as well, and there were a lot of people making copies of it, making their version of it, and they were getting sold in the Walmart store and the Amazon store, and so Walmart got wind of it. They got yelled at about it, and they said, hey, we didn't realize it. This was a third party selling in our store, so we've pulled them from being able to sell in the store because we didn't know that they were doing this. But it's still a problem with those types of things, even without 3D printing. So 3D printing is going to, still
right.
be part of the process, but it's never really gone away. It's still an issue that people are dealing with, especially with the Amazons and the Walmarts and these online retailers who do third party sellers into their store. They're going to run into these issues constantly, and they're going to have to keep fighting it. The problem is that you have to protect your copyright. So even if you don't want to, and if you're okay with somebody doing something, if you don't go after that one person that you're okay with, then another person who's going to do something that you don't want to do with it can say that, well, you let them do it, we can do it too. So unless you enforce it on everybody. So a great example of that is the Star Wars TV show that I was talking to you about before, Harry. So Star Trek Continues was a great fan show that was put on, that recast all of the original crew. They continued the 5-year mission from the point that it ended, and were doing new episodes, and they were putting together. It was faithful. They had actually the son of James Doohan, who played Scotty, playing that character. They had relatives from past, from the old show doing characters. It was very well done. It was very high quality, and Paramount was okay with them doing it because they were doing a great job and they were faithful and everything was good. But there was another group who was doing a similar thing, and they started charging for aspects of the show, like T-shirt sales and downloaded DVDs and things like that, which then put Paramount in a really bad situation where they had to, in order to stop them from doing that and making money off of their property, they had to tell everybody that they had to stop. So that put an end to that show, unfortunately, which is horrible because that was such a good show. But that's the reality of the copyright laws. If you don't protect your copyright, you lose that copyright protection.
Yep. And it's up to you, to try to protect it and send cease and desist on it. So, all right, yeah. Let's see. Wicked Kender. I actually find myself buying physical media, so cheap now, and a whole album physical CD is $10 now. Yeah, I've also noticed that too. Like the prices for like physical copy stuff have gotten topsy turvy. Like I bought several different books here that I've got like physical copies of, right? But I got them like for like super duper cheap, just because I'm willing to take a physical copy of a book instead of just wanting an e-version of it. I've several different times been on Amazon. They were like, e-book is $16, hardback $10. I'll take that hardback then. Thank you. I'll read that hardback book. All right.
It's hard. It's harder to copy. It's hard to copy a hardback and give it to somebody else. I think that's probably where that price is coming. They're adding that price in.
Yeah, I got to figure out how I can put this old timey drop in so you can hear it too when you bring up, because everybody else is going to hear it on the Twitch, but you what I am playing, I'll kick over to the screen. I went to the Free Music Archive. Looked up Jockers Dance Orchestra. Needed some old timey music for when Reinhold gets all old timey on us. I've been looking up.
Back in my day.
Hold on. I gotta play my old timey. We play the old timey music. All right. Next thing I want to go to is this is an article. I've been wanting to get to this thing for a while, but I kept going back. Oh, we got to chat. Kindle prices make no sense to me. Yeah, Kindle prices make no sense either. I prefer physical copies of books too. Oh no, people, nope, done with chat. They're talking about quadraphonic sound. Anyways, I wanted to talk. Speaking of old timey stuff, we're gonna bring up Social Security system, Krebs on security, in-depth security news and investigation. If you really like to hear stuff about like cool things about security, Krebs on security, good. Like which one of the blogs I do? Krebs on security, the Hacker News Network, and Avast. There's just several different blogs I really, and of course, Steve Gibson. Gotta watch Steve Gibson stuff all the time. If Steve Gibson said the internet was green, it's green. Okay. Anyways, Krebs on security is long.
I just wish you had a different. I just wish you had a different host for that show. Now I'm so over. So over.
What's wrong with the host? Huh? What's wrong with the host? Don't like his voice?
He's turned his network into a political nightmare that I just can't stand.
Oh, that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about his co-host, but you're talking about the whole Twit network. I just do security now on Twit. I can't stand everything else on Twit.
Well, I do Windows Weekly too. But those are the only two things.
Is that one? I'm just too scared to do anything else besides Steve. Is Windows Weekly okay?
Love Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo they're wonderful people, and they do a great job.
Farkaz Nugan said I should just have 300 baud modem sounds instead for old-timey music for you.
There's actually a podcast out there called The History of the Internet, which is really, really good. And he starts off the podcast with a modem connecting. It's just so I just go back in time, and I'm like, I kind of miss it. that'll feeling that I'm getting online. I can hear it's great,
Yes. Christian's like, get off my law. And we got a shout. Yeah, someone was a shout out. I'll shout out to Sovereign Tech. That's also a great tech podcast too. But you don't have to like wrestling, and by wrestling you means you have to like Ric Flair. It's like Sovereign Tech is like security now, but but you're at a rock concert. All right, my first one was a 14.4. Wow. I mean, like, you guys really are children of the bod. I'm a grandchild of the bod. I've started with a 14.4K. Okay, all right. Anyways, Krebs on security.
Well, you got to remember. Well, you got to remember the internet didn't hit for me until I was out of high school.
It was always weird going to high school talking about the internet, and most people didn't know what the hell I was talking about.
Well, versus, I envy everybody who is able to grow up with the internet, because access to information is so much better now than it was then. It was impossible back then. Even finding out what you wanted to do with your rest of your life, because especially me, I was living in a small town, and just the idea of you could do all of these different things weren't there. You know, you had a very limited range of things that were kind of realistic for you to do and you knew about. And if I had access to the internet, it would have been, it would have been so much different. And I really do envy everybody who grew up with it.
I did thought I was the 1%. I was blazing speeds with my 14.4, right? And I thought I was a rock star with my first 56K. And it's like, you never need anything bigger than a 50. When I got my 56K, I think that first 56K was out of I think it was a Toshiba or Toshiba laptop, satellite laptop. Good old Toshiba.
Well, I remember reading an article where, and this was while I was in college, where the first 1 gig hard drive came out, and everybody was like, "It's so big, you'll never be able to fill it." Of course, then we were running, 25K programs and things like that. It was just not something you could even imagine.
I'm good to it. I'm sorry, but I remember when I had my first 10 gig hard drive. I took that to the LAN party and was showing off my 10 gigs. And the only person that got was close. He like scuzzied a bunch of other drives together to get 7. Scuzzy.
I remember SCSI.
Oh man! All right, Krebs was scaring his long-born readers to plant your own flag at My Social Security online portal or the U.S. Social Security Administration, even if you're not yet drawing benefits from the agency, because identity thieves have been registering accounts in people's names and siphoning retirement and/or disability funds. This is the story of a Midwest couple that took all the right precautions, still got hit by ID thieves, and impersonated them to the SSA directly over the phone. Yeah, makes you feel good with the United States government, right? Anyways, let's go back into this. In mid-December 2017, this author heard from Ed Ekesting. We're just going to call him Ed. Anyways, Ed, a longtime reader in Oklahoma. Is Oklahoma considered the Midwest? Is that... Do we have to claim?
It's still technically kind of the Midwest. Yeah, I think anything east of the Rockies is still kind of considered Midwest.
I don't want to. We have to claim Oklahoma. Crap. Whose wife Ruth had just received a snail mail letter from the SSA about successfully applying to withdraw benefits. The letter confirms she requested a one-time transfer of more than $11,000 from her SSA account. The couple said they were perplexed because both previously had taken my advice and registered accounts with my Social Security, even though Ruth had not yet chosen to start receiving SSA benefits. And here's the example: the letter, the benefits verification, direct deposit, fraudulent one-time payment that scammers tried to siphon from Ruth's account. There it is. Okay. Sure enough, when Ruth logged into her My Social Security account online, there was a pending $11,665 withdrawal destined to deposit in Green Dot prepaid debit card accounts. Funds deposited onto a Green Dot card can be spent like cash at any store that accepts credit or debit cards. So basically, one of those those spending cards. I'm not going to get distracted by news groups. The $11,655 amount was available for. I'm guessing that was something's wrong there. Anyway, let me go. Hang on. Amount was available for a one-time transfer because it was intended to retroactively cover monthly retirement payments back to her 65th birthday. The letter that Eckeston received from the SSA indicated that the benefits had been requested over the phone, meaning the crooks had called the SSA pretending to be Ruth and supplied them with enough information about her to enroll her to begin receiving benefits. Ed said he and his wife immediately called the SSA to notify them of fraudulent enrollment and pending withdrawal, and they were instructed to appear in person at a SSA office in Oklahoma City. The SSA ultimately put a hold on the fraudulent $11,665 transfer, but Ed said it took more than 4 hours at the SSA office to sort it all out. Mr. Eckerson said the agency also informed them that the thieves had signed his wife's up for disability payments. In addition, her profile at the SSA has been changed to include a phone number in the 786 area code, Miami, Florida. They didn't change the physical address, perhaps thinking that would trigger a letter to be sent to us, Ed explained. Thankfully, the SSA sent a letter anyway, but said many additional hours spent researching the matter with SSA personnel revealed that in order to open the claim on Ruth's retirement benefits, the thieves had to supply the SSA with a short list of static identifiers about her, including her birthday, place of birth, mother's maiden name, current address, and phone number. Wow, that's utter garbage for security. Unfortunately, most of it, if not all of his data, is available on a broad swath of American populace, from free online, think Zillow, Ancestry.com, Facebook, and such, or else for sale in the cybercrime underground for the cost of a latte at Starbucks. The Ecclestons thought the matter had been resolved until January 14th, when Ruth received a 1099 form from the SSA indicating they reported the IRS that she had in fact received the $11,665 payment. We've emailed our tax guy for guidance on how to deal with this on our own taxes, Mr. Eccleston wrote in the email to Krebs and Security. My wife logged into SSA portal, and there was a note indicating that the corrected, updated 1099s were available at the end of the month. She's not sure whether the message was specific to her or whether everyone's seeing that. Not small if it happens to you. Identity thieves have been exploiting authentication weaknesses to divert retirement account funds when the SSA launched its portal 8 years ago, but the crime really picked up in 2013, around the same time Krebs and Security first began warning readers to register their own accounts at the My SSA portal. The uptick coincided with a move by the U.S. Treasury to start requiring that all beneficiaries receive payments through direct deposit, though the SSA says paper checks are still available to some beneficiaries under limited circumstances. So, once again, boomers screw up everything for us with the static, crappy identification things instead of like something good, like maybe like a YubiKey, something set for you, or some sort of PG key system or some crap like that. No, we got these crappy, antiquated, like static addresses like that. They're sent. Granted, they did try to update. They've got this crappy online portal, but you know they don't really use any hard, like things to really determine like who you are and stuff like that. So, and which I don't want to lead into the immigration debate, but that totally goes to this. Like, it's so easy to fool the federal government who you are. Like, like you really don't have any proof besides sheets of paper that anyone can fool or fake that you are an American citizen or born in the United States. It's sort of garbage. Yeah, basically, probably in 30 years, we'll probably get two-factor. The moment when the entire industry has moved on to not even using passwords and using something else, we've decided we're going to use something else and it's going to be better. They're probably going to do, maybe two-factor, maybe bio crap security. Alright, here's a few more listed. More than 34 million Americans now conduct business with the Social Security Administration, SSA Online. A story from Reuters says the SSA doesn't track data on the prevalence of identity theft. Nevertheless, the agency assured the news outlet that this anti-fraud efforts have made the problem very rare. Very rare. And they say this after the whole Equifax hack. So just think about all those Equifax being things that people are just sitting on now, because you've got enough information just from the Equifax hack to basically do the SSA thing on just about everyone in the country. Okay? Reuters notes that the 2015 investigation by the SSA Office of Inspector General Investigation identified more than 30,000 suspicious My SSA registrations and more than 58,000 allegations of fraud related to My SSA accounts from February 2013 to February 2016. Those figures are small in the context of overall My SSA activity, but it will not seem small until it happens to you. Mark Miller of Reuters. The SCA has not yet responded to a request for comment. Ed and Ruth experience notwithstanding, it's still a good idea to set up a My SSA account, particularly if you or your spouse will be eligible to withdraw benefits soon. The agency has been trying to beef up online authentication for citizens logging into MSSA portal. Last summer, the SSA began requiring all users to enter a username and password in addition to a one-time security code sent to their email or phone. More security. You can send it to your phone. Awesome. Although, as previously reported here, that authentication process could be far more robust. Just a little bit more robust. Can we just go for a little bit more robust here? Just two-factor. So we ask. Just a little two-factor. The Reuters story reminds readers to periodically use the My MSA portal to make sure that your personal information, such as date of birth, mailing address, are correct. For current beneficiaries, if you notice that a monthly payment has not yet arrived, you should notify the SSA immediately via the agency's toll-free line, because you can do anything with the phone number apparently, or at your local field office. In most cases, the SSA will make you whole and the theft is reported quickly. Another option is to use the SSA block electronic access feature, which blocks any automatic telephone or online access to your Social Security record, including by you. Although it is unclear if blocking access this way would have stopped ID thieves who managed to speak with a live SSA representative to restore electronic access if you'll need to contact the Social Security Administration and provide proof of your identity, which most identity thieves can get. So I don't know what protection you get from this. There's a lot of identity thieves that may have. You don't have to because you don't have to show up to a person to get a birth certificate. You can easily get a birth certificate through the mail. You may have to wait, but all you need is a lot of the static information that people have there. The Social Security office needs better security, and so basically everything else. So all these suggestions could just get band-aids and possibly may help, and basically, so you need to be able to. So basically, they're basically telling you to keep in your ISSA portal and log into it at least once a month vigilantly, and keep checking the thing. By the way, you've got to keep checking your credit report and make sure that the stuff on it, because these old crappy systems that the boomers put in place are weak sauce and are very dangerous, and in our current basically digital age. I've got a while to collect my Social Security benefits, if they're there at all.
Yeah, so why are we worried about this? Because it's not like anybody's actually going to be able to collect it.
This is for the boomers This is for the boomers that are listening. All the boomers, all two of them. All the Gen Xers and the millennials are like, what Social Security? Let's see here.
I mean, I'm 51 and I am not counting on Social Security. Let's put it that way. I'm only talking 10 years out before I can start collecting if I wanted to.
You might as well just put 1,000 in Dogecoin and count on that. Count on Dogecoin.
Well, I'm watching for the bottom. Yeah, I'm watching for the bottom.
I feel bad. Like, I saw the bottom of Bitcoin at down. Like, I think I got down like 5,200. I was sitting there watching it at 2 a.m. and I'm like, I really should have started buying. I told my wife that I saw it at 5,200, and she watched it go up, and she's like, "Why didn't you buy it at 5,200?"
Here's
because I didn't know it was going to go any lower.
To get off on a sidetrack, I mean, I'd rather put money in stocks anyway, because you're actually investing in a company that has some sort of value that you can monitor and be a part of. So that's just me, but that's another thing.
Yeah.
Investing in Bitcoin is almost like what George Soros does, and it just kind of gives me the willy.
I feel you. It's like, to me, investing in a lot of cryptocurrency, a lot of it's like hedging your bet, or it's just basically betting. I'd rather do that than go get a scratch-off ticket. It's more fun than the scratch-off ticket.
Now, penny stocks are great. Penny stocks and day trading. That's my retirement plan.
Is that your retirement plan? Of course, you'd have did better if you'd have if you just bought a car from the 1980s and just sat on it right now.
I have a 1970 Le Mans sitting in the garage right now.
See,
it was my first car. My dad bought it when I was 5 years old, and It's been in the family since the day it came off the lot.
Man, see, there you go.
Plus, I was involved in Bitcoin back in late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere around in there, where I was actually doing the mining thing, because I was doing SETI online as well. It was the era of the initial parallel processing or distributed processing. So everybody was doing these little agents that did some work on your computer because you weren't using it all the time. It was a fun thing to do, and one of them was Bitcoin. I was like, I'll just put this little Bitcoin thing here, and we'll play with it and see if we get to buy anything. And then 6 months later, I forgot about it. Yeah, I forgot about it, and who knows if I ever got one or not. But I lost the wallet a long time ago, I'm sure. So. Well, you just kind of start kicking myself where I'm like, oh, this is never going anywhere. I'm not even going to bother with it. And I'm like, I guess I might have should have. Huh? So I could have been rich like these other guys.
Yeah. The distributed processing was huge. Like, you could put your PS3 to sleep and let it, you get cash back. I remember doing that, using it for cash. Put my PS3 to sleep and let someone use the cell processor in it to get some cash for it. Well, I was hooked.
Well, the greatest success of distributed processing is, of course, botnets.
Yes. Yeah, and the IoT threat that we face today.
Yeah, and getting back, kind of bringing us back to the Social Security thing. It's like, you've got to have. I mean, that's the problem with government, is that they don't understand technology. I've gone over this before with the Russian thing. Nobody in the politics area, the politicians don't seem to get it, don't understand it, and they're not willing to listen to the people who know what they're talking about and get them somewhere, right? I mean, there was a great video about the intelligence of our representatives. I don't know if you saw this the other day. There was a representative, I don't remember his name, but he was questioning putting more troops on Guam. And so he's asking the general, he says, well, this island's only this wide, right? And this long. It's a very small island, right? And he goes, yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but that, it's a pretty small place. He says, I'm really worried about putting more people on there because it could cause the island to tip and then sink into the ocean. This is the level of intelligence our representatives have.
It's gonna tip it into the ocean.
Well, you don't want it to tip over. If you put too much, it's not balanced right?
Get them on one side, it just kind of tips over.
It's just amazing.
Yes, remember, the best and brightest all work for the United States government. The best and the brightest. Oh, that's awful.
So they have, I mean, I understand politicians are focused on doing politician stuff. That's a full-time job, trying to that's the wrong word.
No, you're right.
Trying to navigate,
manipulate
the back and forth and things you need to do to make things happen in politics. I get that. That's a lot of work and full-time job, meetings and everything else. Mm-hmm. They need to be able to rely on people to give them quality information that they can use, and they need to trust that information from the right people. Unfortunately, the wrong people get trusted, like the brothers who gave themselves access to all of the Democratic senators' computer systems. Mm-hmm. And you know about this story where they fled the country because they found out that they were skimming money and taking in and just ripping everybody off. And then you still have people, I can't remember the woman's name, the senator's name that does that. Who is it? It was one of Hillary's cohorts and big into DNC. I can't remember her name. But she was like the main person. She was protecting these people. And they had already fled the country at this point. And she's arguing with the DC policeman trying to get the computer back, saying it was her property and they had a right to have it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, it's part of an investigation. Well, of course we have the right to have it. She says, no, and she berated him, demanding the stuff back because I think she's afraid what's on it might get leaked. And that was kind of part of the whole Seth Rich thing and all that.
People get suicide twice in the face.
But it was amazing to watch this. Mm-hmm. These people don't understand the technology, and they get these wrong people in who are just willing to
weapon drives,
snow them. It's the person who's in charge of setting up the Obamacare websites, right? The ACA websites, fleeced them from so much money. It was amazing, and it still never worked right. And it's like, there's quality people out there doing good work who are going to bid better than what these guys are charging. What is going on? It's all political, and unfortunately, they're not making that connection, and we're ending up with horrible security systems, horrible systems to work with in accessing the government resources that we're supposed to be able to access.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, because they're omnipotent politicians, they don't have to listen to any like techs or like some weirdos like us.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like it's for every horrible person that's out there, there's got to be 4 or 5 really good tech guys. I mean, there are firms I know that I work for one that they're quality people. We don't, we do business with everybody. I do business with governments, right? Mm-hmm. And the things I see, I just sometimes, it astonishes me.
You do business with governments. You call yourself a libertarian.
Hey, I get paid. I don't care who pays me.
I know, like, money is money. It was in a Rhonda Sykes joke. You can't taste the racism. Can't. Money spends. Money spends. All right. Let's see. We have about 14 minutes left. Do you wanna? You think we can get down the story, or like we should just try to wrap it up here and just end up shilling something?
Well, we can have some fun. We can have some fun talking about some parades.
Oh, all right. I haven't looked into this whole parade thing, and I don't wanna. But we got 15 minutes. I'm ready to go over some parades. Tell me about this parade thing, because everything I'm looked at it, like, it just looks bad. I've been wanting to sit on this information for a while because I have a knee-jerk reaction, so I really don't want to read anything right now. So I'll just wait for that knee-jerk to wear off. But go ahead, tell me about this thing.
Oh, well, basically, Trump has stated he wanted to have a military parade to celebrate the military in the United States, which sounds okay, but what you end up with is an image of USSR, China, North Korea parading out their military in the middle of wartime, right? So a lot of people are saying, and I'm pulling some information from Time Magazine and from Jack News. I know some people don't like Jack News, but they got a good article on this. Is where the difference is that when we've had military parades in the past, it's been the celebration of the end of war. We haven't had an end of war. We have an endless war, right? We have been fighting wars for, unfortunately, as long as some of the people who might be listening to this have been alive. This is ridiculous. And now we wanted to celebrate the fact that we're still fighting in Afghanistan. We're still fighting in all these countries. We've been bombing all these countries for years and years and years on end. I grew up in a time where we weren't constantly at war with people. It's disheartening to see it, and unfortunately, I think it's becoming the norm for a lot of people because they're just growing up, and this is just kind of their new normal. And it's not the way it's supposed to be, people. It's not how we should be. We need to stop this. And celebrating the military in this fashion while we are at war is deplorable. Right? I am all for trust me, I'm a military veteran. I'm a disabled military veteran. I am not going to say we shouldn't be, reverent to the military and what they're doing and the effort they're putting in to keep us safe. If they were keeping us safe, I don't think we are doing that right now. I think we're trying to interfere in other people's business that we shouldn't have any business in and creating more problems that we're going to have to fight later on. But what we have now is the appearance of what the USSR, what China, and what North Korea have always done to try and show our might to the rest of the world. And don't think that Donald Trump isn't trying to do that. Right? That's exactly what he wants to do, to make a display of our might. He has said this before. He has, gone on and tried to play this tack before. And everybody knows what he's trying to do here.
But other countries have military parades. You don't want to see, United States military coming out of the Arch of Triumph, in New York, marching down the street.
We've had military parades too, but they've been to celebrate the end of war. The end of World War II, we had military parades. We had big parades in Times Square. It was a wonderful time because we were celebrating the fact that we weren't fighting anymore.
Well, maybe, Trump is woke finally, hanging out with, been listening to Ron Paul, okay? Maybe this is going to be a surprise. He's going to bring all the troops home, and that's why he's going to have a parade. I doubt that's going to happen, but wouldn't that be nice? But yeah, I feel you with you on it because
if that were to happen, I would become a Trump fan in a heartbeat.
The Rhino would instantly have the MAGA hat on, like, yeah, okay, the troops home.
Seriously, if he would end the stupidity that we are involved in, I would say, okay, you got me, you win. I would still fight him on tariffs and immigration.
Yeah,
But
oh, yeah.
I would still say you have done something that I am approval of, and I give you the credit for it, and thank you for that. I would tell him that. That's not going to happen. You know, it's not going to happen.
No, not even close. But yeah, and it's almost like it gives like credence to, like, this is a little kid with with the ability, just playing around with power. You're like, hey, let's have a parade, and it's almost sick. It's definitely sick.
Well, here's a quote from retired Army Lieutenant General Mark Hertling. Right, he's talking to Time Magazine. And he says that the military parades goes against the U.S. democratic traditions. He says a lot of countries have histories of long-time military conquest and the power and strength of the military supporting the government. But since our inception, that has not been who we are. We are the only nation in the world that defends a piece of paper, an ideology. And to say that we're going to strut our stuff with tanks and rockets launchers and things like that is not a good representation of what the military does in a democratic nation.
Correct. Yeah, he just makes everything. Yeah, you make us look like everyone else, and America's different, and it's supposed to be different. We don't do that. Wiki Kender said, I can't imagine what kind of protest might happen at an official military parade today. Well, it could be awful. Michael's like, oh, they wouldn't be allowed. You end up in a place where there is no darkness. Oh.
You would be disappeared.
Oh yeah, just get.
You don't mess around military. I can tell you right now, you will be disappeared. Because military doesn't screw around. Let me tell you something.
Get disappeared.
Because it's life and death.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. This isn't like protesting at a school or a college. Hey, we're upset that this person's speaking, or or protesting on the lawn of the White House or the Senate, where it's all civilians.
Mm-hmm.
You don't mess with the military.
What?
They don't. They're not. They're first of all, they don't have a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to security, when we talk about security, they know security. It ain't gonna happen. So no, that's not a good idea.
Well, I will say this. Okay, it's there'll be if the parade does happen, they will be on U.S. soil, so they can't do anything. So they'll have to ready to win.
You don't think they can do anything?
They're not supposed to do it.
The CIA is not supposed to operate on United States soil too. They do.
A sheet of paper here that says they can't touch me.
Yeah. You hold that sheet of paper up against their gun and see what happens.
The magic sheet of paper.
That's
if they touch
you
me.
You could win in court.
If you get the court
on the fact that they violated your rights.
Uh-huh.
You'll never see a court. Ask the people in Guantanamo whether they've seen a court. It'd never happen.
If you
we still have people in Guantanamo Bay, for God's sake.
Yep. Hey, some people don't even make it to the jail cell. They die en route. So, well, I don't want to.
I'm here.
Well, I'm glad you wanted to go this way, so now we can hand low Key WAL on a joking,
on a happy high note.
Note about getting disappeared.
Well,
and
okay.
At least
so we've got 5 more minutes.
Duck.
Let me see. What was? I had 2 other stories in there.
Because you brought up Gitmo and people get disappeared. What next? We're going to talk about.
A little rant.
We're going to talk about Keith Richard. We're going to talk about like people getting suicided, or how about some people who got shot twice in the face? Huh?
Well, we can talk about
suicided.
The text messages.
How about the guy who suicided himself in the back 7 times with a shotgun?
That's talent. We lost a great talent there. If you could do that.
Kadoo. You can just type in weird.
Hey, I'm trying to keep it all cool and calm. We're not going to get into anything heavy, right? This is low key.
I'm just. Anyways,
right.
And on that,
I was not meaning to get into like that heavy, but man, it just got me hit me in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I'm guessing there. Yeah, there is a probably a Hillary staffer in that spaceman suit on Tesla cars. Oh, yeah, that's what I could rent out. All right, people.
Oh, the Tesla. Oh, yeah, you want to talk about Elon Musk?
Tesla. Okay, I am a car guy. I love cars, and what I can't stand is the Tesla fanboys fanning and masturbation over themselves over the freaking like Tesla and the stupid Tesla cars. Oh, we got. I don't really care about SpaceX. SpaceX has military contracts and they get paid a lot of money bringing stuff to the space station. All right, they get paid money to bring it up there from the federal government. So, meh. It's
Well,
moot.
it's a great way to privatize space.
Yeah, they
We should
privatized
keep
it,
More
but
doing
yeah.
that. Awesome. That's good to go.
Yeah,
it's the
I
cars
give.
you have a problem with.
It's the cars that I have an issue with. I hate Tesla cars because they're junk. Okay, if they didn't have the awesomeness of the electric car motor inside of it and the batteries, no one would like it. They'd get the 1-star rating. It'd be awful. They'd be a laughing stock of the car world, like most hardcore car people they are. Are they incredibly fast? Yes. Do they got these range? Yes. But they've got these numbers that they put up. So only people who really like them are the internet fanboys who like to race numbers. Like, oh, look at this thing. This thing is so much faster than a GTR and the McLaren 918. Come on, come off it. Okay, first off, the GTR would beat the Tesla around the track because the Tesla's battery overheat and it can't keep doing what it does. Like this whole launching thing, it can only really do that once until the battery cooled down. The GTR can keep launching and launching until it runs out of gas. The Tesla's build quality is freaking junk. Every freaking Tesla, they have massive defects in each of the bodies, on all the body. There's panel gaps everywhere that you can almost stick your whole fist inside of. There is the safety features are crazy. It's we got to thank Licknar for the bit. The ability to cut the power and open the front hood to cut the power for the safety feature. That's too difficult to open the front trunk. It's too difficult to cut off the one in the rear. You don't even know how to. There's no emergency latch to get out of the rear of that car.
Well, there's other things you haven't mentioned, which is even worse in my opinion, is that you can't get access to the schematics for the car in order to work on it yourself. You have to take it to them to work on.
Correct. Yes.
And if you buy a car from someone else,
Mm-hmm.
you are no longer the original owner.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla will not work with you on getting it fixed. You have to do it yourself, and you don't have the schematics for it.
Yep.
So it's a do-it-yourself at that point.
Yep. And they have locked off cars that or have salvage titles. They've locked them off and turned them off because they're always, even though you buy the salvage and they still won't touch you, it will still continue to talk to Tesla at all times. They're still pulling data off it. There's several different people that one of the guys, Car Guru, he lives in Mass and they have a right to repair law, so he has to use the government of Massachusetts to go after Tesla to get anything. If he really wants to get his Tesla fixed or any type of schematics, he's got to use the law of so basically the massholes get that one up to go after Tesla. So, and it's just
I will give them props for one thing.
what.
They are pushing the technology so that other people can do it right.
One thing they did do was to show that people liked the idea and they can make electric car cool, but the same idea but the fanboys will still they get in the car culture and they can be upsetting. The other thing with it is that there's so many other companies started doing these electric cars, but they're not doing it as well. But a lot of companies are using it just for the cafe standards. Because no matter how, because with some of even with some of the Teslas and stuff like that, there's a lot of different things that the simple fact you can't repair, you've got to do that, and it's a piece of freaking junk, and the whole truck thing is going to be even worse. Now the truck thing, it's a brilliant idea to do the truck. The whole truck idea for shipping, it's brilliant because most trucks go from point A to destination point B. No C and D in between. They're going to go from A to B, so the charging stations make sense. So as long as the range is in the towers and these things are electric, this makes freaking sense. The issue I have with
the hybrid makes sense
No, the hybrids don't make
right?
sense. Hybrids are dumb.
I like hybrids because you can use the actual physics of the car to charge back the battery and save on gas. That's a good idea.
I give you that one because we have to do such slow city driving sometimes, and sometimes you can get on the highway and you need a full powerful motor and the range, and you need the range. I get
Right.
that.
You always have the ability to fall back to the gas.
Mm-hmm.
You still have the ability to get where you need to go. You know,
Right.
you're not stuck somewhere going, oh, I got to charge my car. It's going to take me 3 hours to get
Mm-hmm.
a good charge. I got to find a charging station and sit for however long it is
Right.
just to get a charge to get home. You know, you've got the gas to get you there and do that.
Yeah.
I love the hybrid for that, and that gives you the best of both worlds. It reduces your gas consumption, which is I'm not a big, you know, I don't care so much about the fact that it's the gas and the pollution and all that stuff, because electric is still pollution and all that stuff. It doesn't save anything there.
Correct.
But it just makes sense to me that you're not relying on the gas for that reason. You know, it's a good kind of
It helps
middle of the
air
ground
quality in
solution.
city. It helps air quality in cities.
Yeah, it does that
If
too. Yeah.
a lot of things are going around like electric. That's good. There's a lot of different things in a condensed area. I get that. Helps air quality out. And the range extenders are sit down and do that. That's awesome at the same time too. But the thing is, what I freaking hate is the Prius driver or the hybrid driver, right? That's driving on the highway. That's there to spend 95% of his life on the highway. I'm like, there's no reason you bought that. You should have bought that hybrid. If you're going to spend 95% of that thing's life is going to be on the highway, you have wasted your money. You'd have did better just buying a Honda Civic or the Toyota Camry. Okay, and just drove that if you're not gonna, and just bought a bicycle for the 5% that you're in town for doing something. Just get on a freaking bike. But what was that with these stupid hybrids, stupid battery operated electric cars? But don't get me wrong.
I hate about so we're getting into the Tesla fanboys you don't like. Well, I don't like the hybrid fanboys either. The people are like, well, I'm better than you because I have a hybrid thing. It's just shut up. Right. So I'm for pushing technology. I want the technology to advance. I want us to do better. Mm-hmm. I want us to always try to get a better technology as fast and as often as we can get it, because I'm a technology guy. I love that. I would love to see nuclear powered stuff. I would love to see all the other types of technologies being used to make energy affordable, easy to use, and ubiquitous. Right, so let's keep doing that. Let's keep pushing the envelope, but let's not start getting attitudes about it. It's just like the even in the car world, there's the BMW guys, right? So there's those people that you just like shut up, and let's move along.
Right. Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like and I think like. A lot of people like to bring up that episode of Top Gear going after Tesla when Tesla brought this roadster, all this stuff. Like that, none of that made any sense other than I actually really accept Top Gear's review of that Tesla because it was probably a piece of junk that they brought. And Top Gear said the freaking truth about it. And honestly, I don't think Tesla would have got where it was if Jeremy Clarkson and Top Gear didn't tell them, hey, you brought junk to us. And they went to the drawing board and they started making good cars after that. They needed to be told because everyone else is like, oh, this is so beautiful, this is so awesome, and they were like, no, this is junk. You brought us junk, right? So, and they needed that. I'm gonna read some things here in the chat. Let's see, buying a Ford Edge with 21 mpg. Yep, a lot of the Ford's EcoBoosts are doing a lot of good, especially the Mazda. Mazda went completely 4-cylinder this year, so all 2018 and going on, all Mazdas are 4 cylinders or smaller.
Well, how do you feel about the fact that a lot of these people are making these changes in the technology advances because of the CAFE standards?
I don't think the CAFE standards was doing anything for that. I think everyone else was going that way anyways because that's what people wanted.
Right. I mean, that's always been my take is that if the people demanded better mileage, better miles per gallon and less gas usage, then you're going to get that. I mean, look at the 1970s.
Yeah.
Let's go back in old-timey days. So there were gas lines. Nobody could get any gas, right? So people were getting 9 miles to the gallon or 7 miles to the gallon. People were like, we can't do this anymore. So they started making And it was Japan that jumped ahead of everybody else on this. They realized that people wanted cars that were more fuel efficient.
Mm-hmm.
They started making fuel efficient cars. People started buying them. Then you had the K cars and things like that. People were now getting 15 to 20 miles per gallon because that's what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Not because of cafe standards, not because the government told them they had to. It's because that's what people wanted. So that's what drives this stuff.
Yep.
I mean, I understand what they're trying to do with the cafe standard, but it's just a wrong-headed approach because if there's no demand for it, then there's really no need to be in pushing it.
Well, a lot of things like the cafe standards and stuff like that. Thank you, Michael, for the follow. A lot of different things when it comes to like they see like they won't see improvements with the cafe standards, so like they keep pushing them and push them and push them, but it's not doing that. But a lot of people like these. Most people who get in the cars, they really don't know what they want and they don't know a lot about cars. But people still want their big V8s when it comes down to the day. They still want big V8 power, even though you can get V8 power in a 4-cylinder package. You can. But you can get V8s, like there's LS3s out there that'll get 40 mpg, okay, which is crazy for this massive size V8. It's massive to most engines. I know it's still a small block, but it's still a massive motor that's getting 40 miles to the gallon. It's EKG that's EK Honda Civic territory there, okay, for a little thing like that. But even the Honda Civics of the now area, they're giving 70 plus miles per gallon depending on how you drive it. But most people, but you still get people buying SUVs for some freaking reason, like, oh, I gotta have an SUV. Just like I tell anyone that tells me they bought a car for safety reasons, if the next words out of their mouth isn't Volvo, they are an idiot. And I tell them that they do not know what they're talking about, and they did not buy that car for safety. And I like to show them their car in a crash versus the comparable Volvo. So I tell them, like, if you wanted a safe car, you would have bought a Volvo, not whatever Chevy crap that you just SUV that you bought or Cadillac SUV that you bought. No. There's cars that are actually safe, and then there's that piece of junk that you bought. Like an S-Class Mercedes. This thing's incredibly safe. Like 7 Series BMW. Big and safe. This thing's meant to go 150 plus miles per hour all freaking day. And if it hits something, keep everyone safe inside the car. Your, Chevy Equinox, meant to go 45, 50 miles per hour. Tip over into a ditch. Alright. I can sit here and ramble about cars for the days, and I'm gonna end it here on this bombshell. Randall, you want to wrap up? Shill your stuff so everyone can buy.
Sure. If anybody wanted to follow me on Twitch, my handle is Reinhold TV. I do streaming of sometimes Dirty Bomb, and we do D&D on Saturdays. Also, Twitter at Reinhold for political stuff. You might see an occasional Twitter fight with certain questionable libertarian magazines and caucuses. Or if you just want to follow me about gaming, then that'd be at Reinhold TV. Also, reinhold.org for political writing.
Well, thank you, Reinhold, for joining me on this episode. Let's see. We got Liberty and Chill going this Friday. We're still gonna do an IRL stream at Triton again on this Friday, and then we're going to do Friday Night Gaming. We're going to go back, and I'm going to go back and play Magicka. Skalja and I got very far Magicka last Friday, and I almost feel like beating this game. I feel like, let's go beat a game. Let's beat Magicka, because I had a blast at playing Magicka. It was so much fun. I loved it. It was like really like, bringing like the old times of getting off like on the LAN party stuff with playing games. So I think we're going to end up going to try to beat Magicka first before we go to the game. So it's going to be Magicka most Friday nights until we end up beating that game. So if you don't like us playing Magicka, jump to the Discord, help us beat this game then, and we'll move on to a different game. Let's see, don't forget Wicked Kender. Thanks for the cheer. And also, let's see, Thursday we got We Are Libertarians tomorrow, which will be possibly might be the last time you get the OG WAL host, We Are Libertarians host together. So that would be Creighton Harrington, Chris Galt, and Chris Spangled, our dear leader, together. Hopefully it won't be the last time, but for you will the last time for a long time until we can get everyone back together again, get the band back. All right, so once again. again, thanks to everybody for coming over to Twitch, coming for Low Key WAL. Thanks to the people who are listening to this as a podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, why don't you come hang out with us on 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. on Twitch. Hang out in the live room. Hang out in the Twitch chat room. If you feel like you've been talking and saying something like that, jump into the Discord channel. Jump into Discord, and you can sit there and hang out with Reinhold and I as we sit on the chat. If you're sitting out there and you want to come in and you hear a piece, go ahead and jump in. This is more. I want to use Low Key WAL to almost be like this. This is like the while WAL's going on upstairs. This is the basement. We're down in the basement drinking coffee while WAL's going on. That's the idea of Low Key WAL for me. Okay, I like having these interaction with everybody. All right, I'm gonna get in here and stop the stream. Bye everybody. Thank you for coming. Bye.